All right. Good morning if you're joining us when this was initially cast on June the 2nd, 2023, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm so excited today because I have the pleasure of talking with Wes Rhea. And Wes is the brand new author of a book, Off the Top Rope, A Journey in Faith, Career Transition, and a Little Bit of Luck. So I really, the title is captivating, and you get to learn all about his life and all the different types of things he's done, which it hasn't necessarily been linear, in my opinion, Ray.
You got that right, Quan. I have to say it was definitely non-traditional at best.
And so I just love the title of the book. What inspired you to write it?
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much, Quan, for having me this morning. And it's been a pleasure to get to know you over the years and all the great things that you're doing. So I'm just so happy to do this with you this morning. And yeah, that's something I had kind of always wanted to do was write a book. On what I wasn't real sure, and I felt like, some people would say, hey, you've done these different things. And I was like, well, I wasn't quite that famous as a professional wrestler. I don't think that many people may or may not know who I was, but after I started thinking about it a little while and saying, kind of going, looking at skills you gain throughout your life in different careers, and how, I think sometimes it just came to me and like thinking, okay, well, I've learned these skills as a professional wrestler. How can I use those as I, transition from that career, which is not you don't have a long shelf life on that world, into the corporate world, and using those skills and then the skills I gained into the corporate sector and able to help me as I was able to move up the ladder and get into some executive level positions, and then kind of use all those skills that were gained along the way to get into academia and help and teach and help others. That's something I've always enjoyed doing, was helping people. So I really was kind of hoping that the book would give up some people some opportunity to really give them some help. And somebody who might have possibly maybe been recently laid off, or maybe trying to, maybe they feel like they're stuck and feel like, oh, I've always done this. I can't. I hear that a lot. Is I can't do this. And
Right.
I'm like, once right. And once you do that, I can't. Then you kind of put that wall up, right? And so I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not, it's not going to be easy. But I think if you have, some perseverance, faith, and a little bit of luck along the way, the
Right.
networking, the right people, you can get there. You may have to go back to school, maybe gain some certifications or something along those lines. But you're really just kind of hoping to give some people a good, positive, uplifting message, and how you can use those skills that you've already gained along the way, and maybe transition to another role, or maybe help you go up that ladder if that's something you're looking to do. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm kind of hoping that it'll do, and be able to help some people.
Yeah, I definitely think it will be. And you definitely give people, I don't want to say hope, but a view into options in different ways to
Yeah.
traverse between different things. And I can't help but ask, what's the similarities between being, and maybe I know the answer,
Sure. No,
between
that's fine.
between being a professional wrestler and a college professor?
You've had some experience there as well,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I think the biggest thing I found was, when I first, gosh, I started doing it, part time, 13 or so years ago or longer. And I remember having that first conversation. It was kind of like, hey, we have a Saturday class that's open, from like,
Yep.
you've done that, right? From 11 a.m. to 1:45, and I was like, oh, great, yeah, I'll do it, and then it was like, oh, and by the way, it starts in like 2 weeks, and I was like, oh, what? But it kind of did. The main thing I started thinking, okay, now, as a professional wrestler, I've been in front of people, lots of people, small crowds, large crowds, and I said, okay, you'll have however many students might be in there. Okay, you've been in front of people, you can do this, right? You'd had to, present, or, being in front of a camera, talking to a TV camera, or, talking on a microphone as a professional wrestler. And then, again, you're going to be presenting and talking to people, and just using those interpersonal skills, and I felt that by that time I had the knowledge from being in the corporate sector as well on the subject I was going to be teaching. So I felt like I could bring a lot, hopefully, to the table, for the students, and be able to help them, see that there's like opportunities in information technology and information security and project management, other fields like that maybe they hadn't thought about. So yeah, it was trying to just, take those, I guess, more or less being in front of people and being comfortable being in front of people. Right.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that was probably the biggest thing.
I thought you were going to say something about if a person has you on the ropes in wrestling versus a student has you on the ropes, like,
yeah.
how do I navigate this?
Yeah, well, when I first jumped in the corporate sector, it was in customer service. Now that felt more like professional wrestling than it's like, oh gosh, you're getting kind of beat up here on the phone, that sort of thing, having you on the ropes for sure in that in that space.
That's funny. Yeah, you have to have a strategy.
Yeah, exactly.
So beyond that, what do you think is the main message that you can convey to readers? I hear people all the time reaching out, hey, I've done this, but now I want to do that. Or how did you get into this field? I would love to be in this field. What would you say is the main message that's in your book that you're working to convey?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I've heard a lot of the same things as you just mentioned there, Quan, as well. And I think the main message I'm really trying to hopefully get across to everyone is hopefully positivity. You got to have, you got to be thinking positive. And I think the main thing is really having a plan. What's that? I think that saying is a goal without a plan is just a wish, right? I mean, and I think, you have to have a plan. I'm a planner. I'm a list person. I like checking things off. So I think you have to have a plan. I think what I'm hoping to try to get across to folks is, reading the book. I talk about opportunities that are out there, like project management, fields in information technology, information security is is one of the hottest fields. There's more jobs than people. And then, what can you do? For instance, if you're an IT professional, you could transition into security, maybe, going back and getting some certifications, going back maybe and getting a degree. I went back 10 years later after my undergrad and got my MBA, and almost another 10 years before I got my JD, my law degree. So, those invest in yourself. You may have to invest in yourself and look at those, kind of lay out that plan. Where do you want to go? Where is that roadmap, so to speak? Do you want to be a manager? Do you want to be a director? Do you want to be an analyst? Do you want to get in a certain industry or field or work for a certain company? So, look at those job descriptions that you're wanting to be. What are they looking for? Do you have those skills? Start making a list. Okay, yeah, I have this, I don't have this. They're saying a PMP's preferred, right? Maybe I need to go back and do that. As learning's so easy. I mean, it's very easy to stay in time. You can Coursera and other tools. LinkedIn has great tools, as you know. So a lot of ways to, learn, and at a very low cost too. So I think just trying to have that plan together and get around good people, networking, mentors, informational interviews, talk to people. Where do you if you want to be a certain position or a certain level, look at those folks. What do they have? What are they doing? Learn from them too. That networking is so important.
It is.
You know that. I mean, it's so important. Yeah.
It's amazing what networking, how impactful it is. I'll never forget, I decided I really want to check out teaching at the college level.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. And I wonder if I could do it, if I could make the transition. And I went to my LinkedIn network and I just typed in college professor.
Okay.
To see who in my network was also a college professor. And I found that a guy that worked right around the corner from me in the office building was working at Kennesaw State. And I had no idea.
Oh, wow.
And he and I weren't close. We were, kind of companions in the hallway. Hey, how you doing?
Mm-hmm.
In common. And I walked right over to his office and I said, hey, could you tell me about what you're doing at Kennesaw? And he was excited. He shared it with me. And he said, I can put you in contact with, and he gave me the department chair at the time's name.
Mm-hmm.
I reached out and, over a couple of months, it happened.
Yeah.
I thought I didn't have to go through the website to try and figure out how to do it. It was just working the network. And I was able to make that pivot and realize a dream.
Yeah.
And so it's just amazing what networking can do.
Oh, you're right. You're so right. It's so important to have those networks, and because most people, I think, do traditionally kind of would prefer hiring someone that they, have come through a referral or a network, and that they already kind of know you or know the person that might be referring you and that kind of thing. So I think that's so valuable. I think a lot of people need to hopefully remember that. Look, like you said, LinkedIn is such a great tool. You can people, I think folks might be surprised. I think I always like to tell people is, reach out to some folks and ask for informational interviews. Maybe just
Yeah.
take 10, 15 minutes at a time on a Zoom call, or if you live in the area, maybe buy them a cup of coffee or whatever. Yeah.
It's impressive how people love to help people.
Yes.
And we don't necessarily tap into that.
Right.
But I don't think I've ever turned anybody down who's asked me for an informational interview. When I was working in corporate America, I would get a random person and they'd say, hey, you're doing what I think I want to do. Can we talk about it? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then as I was making career transitions, I would do the same thing. Even with people that had jobs that I wanted to apply for, but I didn't think I was qualified.
Right.
I just reach out and say, hey, can I have an informational interview? And what I learned is if you ask earnest questions for about 15 minutes, people can't help but turn around and ask you about yourself. And then they'll say, and then I would tell them about myself. And then I could ask sometimes, hey, if I were to apply for this role, would you give me an interview? And it was always good to talk to those that said no, because you don't have this, this, and this.
Right.
And then I can say, how do you suggest I get that, and that? So it's just amazing the pivots you can make, like you talk about in your book, by doing some of the strategies that you share.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right, Quan. I mean, that's most people, as you mentioned, I'm like you. If people reach out to me and say, hey, I'm like more than happy to. I'm more than happy to find some time and help, because that's something I really, really enjoy doing. I know, because, probably like yourself, I had people help me in my career years ago, and I like to pay it forward and help people out as well. And that was something that was so rewarding about, teaching, as being able to help students, navigate to the right degree or get that internship or get them in the right spot. So I'm totally with you on that. And I know what you're doing in project management is, like I said, near and dear to my heart. I'm a big fan of project management. So just let me ask you a real quick question, if you don't mind. How did you get started in project management?
I started first by being on a project. When I started at Coca-Cola many moons ago, it was to do the training for a really big project that they had.
Okay.
And so I was just focused on one piece as a subject matter expert for creating training and leading training. And that really excited me. And then from that role, I went into an analyst role.
Okay.
And I remember it was all about spreadsheets and looking at sales projections and numbers and data. And I thought, ooh, this is not for me. I want to talk to people and not spreadsheets. And I got the opportunity to go from being an analyst to a project manager. And I loved it. I didn't necessarily at the start have the structure for it. And I learned the structure. I got PMI related training. And I just kept working on my craft and growing it, because, project management is about delivering something timely and with quality against the stated objective and on budget. But I also like to add the element in that the people had a good time doing it, right?
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
It can be rough on people. And so I just have worked for many years on how do I balance those things, having a great plan and a charter and all the elements that go along with it. But I just really enjoy it because it's constantly, every group is a different group of people.
Right, right. And that's what I think sometimes is great about a project is when you get off, you get to go to another project.
That's right.
Do something different. And I think those people who are kind of who like that, I think it's and as you know, it's a extremely hot field and it's always in demand. I think it's a job that's always going to be in demand, whether you're doing it through consulting or contract work or full-time work. And, something that you probably talked about in your class, as I did, is, I talk to students a lot about project management. And what would you say would maybe be some skills that, if say it's somebody ready to graduate from college, with a business degree and maybe has an interest in that, or maybe he's just recently graduated, what would you say some of the skills that might be very helpful to those types of folks, so they can be successful and enjoy project management?
Yeah, I think Project management definitely requires the ability to organize and to think kind of holistically. And I notice a lot of the universities are really working with students to give them an overarching view of how things come together. So I think that's important. The ability to think logically and lay out a plan. I think a skill that we don't trumpet enough is the ability to communicate.
Yes.
To communicate verbally and orally, which is, I guess, the same thing, and to communicate via written word, via email, via updates and documents. The one thing I really look for in people, and it's a tough thing, I think, to gauge, is their ability to handle nebulousness.
Okay.
Like the ability to deal with things that aren't stated and things that people haven't told you. And I feel like that's the place that trips people up the most. So I think if you're a person that can handle, lots of different things and then synthesize it to pull it together and create a plan and to deal with people who don't really know what they want to do,
Right.
it's probably a good place for you. And I'm not saying you need to have that skill highly crafted and honed already, but it's definitely a place you got to be comfortable with vagueness and things of that sort. So I think it's a really great field for people that are comfortable with, talking to people and getting people to follow a plan, and no day is ever the same.
Right. Always a little different. And would you say that a lot of, and something I used to see a lot, and I think you mentioned it a few minutes ago, and I think it possibly still holds true, is a lot of project managers usually sometimes may start off in like a business analyst role or something along those lines, analyst type, and then make the jump to that still, would you say that's still probably a good pathway for a lot of folks?
An analyst role, a project coordinator role.
Okay.
Because then if you don't have experience being a project manager, people will probably take some of the skills that you've done before as an analyst or a project coordinator and say, okay, I'll give it a try, right? I'll give you a try. Or being able to get a seat on a project. So if you're if you're inside of an organization right now and you want to make a jump from being in the operational side, which operation is ongoing and a project has a definitive end. Sometimes we want projects like that. A project has a definitive end. If you can say, hey, raise your hand, I'd like to do this for a project. I would have junior associates do that all the time. When I was at Coca-Cola, somebody would say, hey, I'd love to have a seat on your project. I actually did a training class a couple of months ago for a young woman who asked me that like 15, 20 years ago. And now she runs a whole project department at Coca-Cola. And I thought, wow. And she brought it up and I had almost forgotten about it, honestly. She's like, remember when you gave me a shot? And I said, oh, I really want to get out of the customer service department and try being on a project. So I'd say if you're inside of an organization right now, that's the best place to start. There are projects that are going on that somebody will give you an opportunity to join if you ask, because people are always strapped for resources. So just ask for a shot and then take the learnings from there. Find a mentor who is a project manager that'll take you under their wings. Find a department where they hire project managers and meet with the leader and ask, hey, what are you looking for? Can you think of me? What would it take for me to be ready the next time you post a role?
No, that's great advice. I think it's great advice. I'm totally with you. I think anytime you're already within a company, especially if it's a large company for sure, you know, make those connections internally. Because I know a lot of times they'd rather hire people internally, and you've already got a chance to make those relationships. I did something similar coming from customer service, and I was able to get into IT because of training, software training. And I started working with the IT folks. And next thing I know, there was an opportunity to do software quality testing or, QA, quality analyst or quality assurance at that time. So, yeah. And you mentioned training. I think you said some things you're doing with your company right now, right? Doing some training, doing some good things with that.
Yeah, I love, if somebody said, if you think about what you would do for free,
right?
That's like your love language, right? Well, I love training. I love making training fun and engaging with people and connecting with them. And so for corporations, I teach often a course called Lean for Project Managers. Oh, wow. And that's taking some Lean Six Sigma skills and matching them with traditional project management skills.
Good.
And now I'm offering that course as an online course outside of the corporate arena, so that
Oh, nice.
anybody can take it and learn what corporations have known for a while, which is teaching people how to solve problems,
Uh-huh.
and marrying that with project management skill set to solve the problem and then
Yep.
drive the solution to completion is huge. It's a big win. You always will have something to do if you're able to solve problems and deliver a result.
You're right. Exactly.
I call it a promotion of recognition, right? People will constantly bring problems to your doorstep.
Yeah. sometimes, more than you want, right?
Yes, way more than you'd ever like.
I just real quick. I remember years ago, I was working. I sat next to the copy machine, and it was so funny. Everybody would come by the copy machine. If something went wrong, they thought because I sit next to it that I knew how it worked. I'm like, hey, do you know how this copy? I'm like, no, I don't. I mean, just because
I
I
have
sit
no
here
clue.
doesn't mean I have I'm a all of a sudden become a copy machine technician.
Yeah, hey, there was a future for you there.
Yeah, I know. It's like, it's so funny. I was like, no, you don't want my advice on that.
The future.
That's great.
So where can people find your book?
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, my book's available on Amazon, Amazon and Barnes and Noble. Most of any of your online booksellers, Books a Million, you can just about any of them. It's available online. It's also available on the shelf at the Book Exchange in Marietta, Georgia, as well as just recently the Barnes and Noble at the Town Center Prado off Barrett Parkway, which, by the way, I'll be at the Barnes and Noble at Town Center Prado in Marietta off Barrett Parkway on June the 17th from 12 to 3,
Wow.
doing a book signing. So I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully
Nice.
get some folks to come out and see some familiar faces and say hi to some folks. So it's been really fun and just enjoying it. Hopefully, again, as we spoke earlier, just really hoping that it'll help some people and give some people some hope and some a plan to maybe take those next steps and take that leap, right? Take that leap
Right.
out there, whether it's trying to go up that ladder or maybe do something different or transition. That you can do it. It's going to take some time. Maybe it takes a little hard work, some perseverance, some luck along the way. People, but if you want it, it's out there for you, and you can get there. So yeah, I really appreciate that, and hoping it'll get a chance to help some people.
Well, I know it's because it's nonfiction. You probably won't be doing a reading, will you?
No, I don't.
You could do a reenactment of your day. That would bring the people out. You could wear your outfit.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that would be fun. Want to do a little reenactment, get a little mini wrestling ring set up, and that'd be real fun. I don't know if they'll go for it or not, but yeah. I guess it wouldn't be a reading, but yeah, we'll try to make it as fun as possible, right? I like that idea, a little reenactment.
That's fun. And then from the boardroom to the ring to the dressing room, you can have all the looks.
That would be good, wouldn't it?
That might make for a good TikTok video.
You're right. We might have to look into that. Have a little smoke machine going and all that, getting some some ring intro music and all that. We have a little TikTok video, like you said. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I'm not on TikTok, and I probably should be, but I've heard about book TikTok.
Yeah,
It's like the place that's driving book sales now. So
I'm definitely looking into that. I think it's called, maybe Book Talk or something. They call it through TikTok or something like that. Yeah, I did hear they said that book sales in general have really went up since, I guess, that launch. Yeah, so something to look at for sure. I'm not out on TikTok either. I don't know how good my TikTok skills are, but I guess it's something again to try, right, and look into.
It's something to try.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Well, I have really enjoyed this, and I'm excited about, especially as I hear people all the time reaching out. People reach out all the time about transitions and just kind of feeling stuck if they've been going down a certain path, or I've done this for many years, but now I'm ready to try this. And people think they just have to keep doing what they've always done.
Right.
Then you realize there are people out there that'll try, something totally different. And how do they do that? Like, how do you go from being a, wrestler to a lawyer to a college professor? Like, that makes no sense. So I'm excited about recommending this as proof that, you don't have to be a unicorn. This can happen.
No, thank you so much. You're exactly right, and I think that's the big thing. I think the big thing too is you have to put yourself out there, and that can be scary sometimes. And sometimes you may fail. But I think I'd rather fail trying than go, well, I could have done that. I could have. Well, I didn't, but I could have. But I think, and I get it. It's tough. It's scary. And some things maybe not always will work out. But I think you have to keep that plan and they go, okay, well, maybe this wasn't for me, and I need to do this. But try to learn from those experiences as well, because things happen. And I feel like, Kwani, a lot of times, it may not seem like it at the moment, but sometimes things happen for reasons, and maybe lead you to where you're trying to get to. So.
I found that the worst thing that can happen when I'm trying something different is that I'll find something new.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, this is different. Okay. Yeah. Then, I might not get here, but I might end up there. And then I like there, or I don't like there, but it's all a part of that journey.
You're right. And people you meet along the way, you never know who you might meet that might be that person that opens a door somewhere else for you. You just never know. I think that's what's so fun. And always just try to give back to others, and pay it forward when you can. So no,
definitely.
You're right. Like I said, this has been really, really fun. I've really enjoyed it. And being able to share our messages out there and hopefully help some folks along the way.
Well, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And I know that your book signing on June the 17th from 12
to 3. Yeah.
12 to 3 is going to be awesome. And I'll make sure it's attached to this information as well, so that people can see it.
Well, thank you so much. It'll be at the Barnes & Noble at Town Center Prado, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, we'll hope again, look nice. Hopefully some folks will be able a chance to come out and say hi and see some folks, see some familiar faces. And thank you so much for doing this, Quan. It's really, really enjoyable. Look forward to doing some more things with you. And have a great day as yourself, great Friday, and a great weekend.
All righty. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Quan. See you. Bye-bye.